Here's a question. 50% of 8 is what? Here's the trick. In math, of means multiply. Is means equal. So when you see these guys, just find of, put a multiplication, is, put equal. The rest of it, let's fill it. 50% times 8 is equals what? That's what the question. Now, when you're multiplying, you got to convert that to a decimal number. So how do we go from percent to a decimal? We just looked at that. Move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So the decimal point at the end now, if you move it 2 places to the left, that number becomes what? 0.50. You don't need the 0. Times the 8. So that means 0.5 times the 8. And let's multiply. There's the 8 times the 0.5. 5 times 8? 40. We got to move the decimal point how many places? 1. So the answer x equals what? 4. But notice you have to take that number and convert it from percent to a decimal number. Let me try another one. Nine is what percent of 72? Nine is what percent of 72? Again, remember what I said. Of means multiply. Is means equal. Nine equals p, x, whatever you want to use, times the 72. I use p because percent begins with p, times the 72. P times 72, we can write that what? 72p. Now that's a multiplication. How do you solve?
Divide.
Divide by what?
9.
Try again.
Times 72.
Must divide. Divide by what number? 72, because you want to make that number a 1. Nine over 72. Can we simplify that?
Yes. 1.
8. That won't be your answer. Why? Because that number now is what? It's a fraction. You need to convert that number from a fraction to what? To percent. How do you go from fraction to percent? We're going to multiply it by 100. The 100 is 100 over 1. You can divide by 4. By 4, this is what? 25. By 4, this is what? 2. 1 times 25, which is what? 25. 1 times 2 is 2. What's 25 divided by 2? Is that 12.5%? So the 9 is 12.5% of 72. because of this conversion here, back and forth, oh, this is a fraction, I don't want a fraction, multiply it by 100 to change it. A lot of people are not fond of this method. They don't like it. They'd rather use proportion. Chapter 5. How do we use proportion to solve this? Your book doesn't even discuss this. They go to proportion there. Now, the way proportion works, it says the ratio, the method we're going to use, the ratio, which is division, of the number to 100 is the same as the amount to the base. That's the equation we're going to use. To me, that's too much writing. So I write that the number to 100 is the amount to the base. I'm a big basketball fan. I call this method NBA. The NBA. So let me go back to the first question we wrote. 50% of 8 is what? That was the question we did. I need to identify which one is the number, which one is the amount, and which one is the base. Once I identify them, plug them into this, now I'm ready to solve it. Here's the good news. The percent, it's always your number. Always. The percent is always your number. Here's another good news. Look for the word of. You see the word of? What comes after of is always your base. That's your base. This is the number. That's the base. What comes after is your what? The amount. Process of elimination. You have three things. You know these two. The third one has to be the amount. Now, once we have them, plug them into this equation. I don't have to, I got to change decimal to percent, percent to decimal, fraction, none of that stuff. This takes care of everything. So the number is what? 50 to 100 is the same as the amount, which is unknown, to the base, which is what? 8. How do we solve this from chapter 5? Cross multiply. By the way, if you want to simplify this to make life easy on you, the 50 and 100, you can. So you're now multiplying these big numbers. Because by 50, this is what?
1.
Now go cross multiply. What's 1 times 8? 8. 2 times A. 2A. What's A equal to? How do we solve for A? Divided by 2. A equals to what? 4. Is that what we got? Yes. I didn't have to change from percent to a decimal number. Let's try the other one. The other example we just did. 9 is what percent of 72? Nine, that's the other example we just did, is what percent of 72? Here's the word of. And what comes after of?
The base.
The base. The percent is what?
The number.
That's the number, which we don't know it, right?
Right.
That leaves the 9 to be what?
The amount.
Amount. The ratio of the number to 100 is the same as the amount to the base. The number, do we know what the number is?
No.
I'll use N for number or P for percent, whatever you want to use. Do we know what the amount is? 9 to what?
72.
72. You can simplify if you want to, you don't have to. If you want to cross multiply, 72 times N is what? 72N equals what? 900, right? And to solve for N, we're going to divide by 72. And that's 12.5%. When we did it early, I got my answer, then I said, wait a minute, that's actually a fraction. We need to convert that from a fraction to percent. I don't have to do that here. This method does all the conversion for me. It always takes me there. So you go 900 divided by 72. You go 1 times the 72 is 72. It would have been easier if I simplified, but I was stubborn. That's 18. Bring that 0 down. 180 by 72 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 7, 14. 4 from 10. 6. 4 from 7. 3. And now, here's a decimal point. Bring that 0. 360 by 72 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 7 is 35 and 1, 36. 12.5%. This method is a lot more popular than the other method because of the conversion. So let's try a few more. Now, I see actually the book discussed both of them. At first I didn't see the other method, but it is discussed there, both them. So I'll do both. I'll practice on both. What is 10% of 2? The old method. By the way, if the book says translate, is means what? Equals. Of means what? Multiply. 10% times 2 equals what? X. And that won't be done because you got to convert that number to a decimal number. What's 10% as a decimal number? 0.1 times 2 equals X. If they say translate, that's where you stop. If they say solve it now, then you're going to continue. You go X equals what? 0.1 times 2. Let's multiply them. What's 1 times 2? Move the decimal point how many places? So if they said solve, you go this far. If they said translate, you stop there. You'll see both. I'm looking at your book, they have them both. Another one, we'll do translate and solve. I'll stick with this method first, and I'll switch to the other method, the proportion. What is 200% of 30? Again, translate, equal, multiply, 200%, 30x. Am I done translating? Well, no, I said translate. I don't want to solve it yet. But am I done?
No.
You got to change that number to a decimal number first.
Yes.
What's a 200% as a decimal?
2.
2 times the 30. If it says translate, I'm done. You stop if it says translate. If it says solve now, x equals what? 2 times 30. What's 2 times 30? That's solve. You finish solving the problem. In some of them they'll ask you to translate, in other ones they said just solve. I'll do another one with this method, then I'll go to proportion again. I'll do it both ways. 120% of what number is 108? To translate, here we go. Of means multiply, is means equal. Here's the 108. This is unknown. This is what? 120%. Can we leave it like that? You gotta change the percent to a decimal. That becomes what? 1.2 times x equals 108. And that's translation. Right there, you stop. If you want to solve them now, this becomes 1.2 times x, which is 1.2x equals what? 108. How do we solve it? Divide by 1.2. I'll cheat. What is 108 over 1.2? 108 divided by 1.2? 90 even? 90. So that's this method. Let's look at proportion again. That's the NBA method. And if they don't tell you which method to use, then you pick the one that you like better. But on some of these, they might be specific which way they want it. So let's look at proportion. That's the NBA. Again, I call that the NBA. N to 100 is the amount to the base. That's what the proportion method is. By the way, if you wrote the amount to the base, you can write that backward and it won't change anything. Just in case you see it backward, that's fine. Doesn't matter which fraction you put on the left, which one you put on the right. So let's take an example. What percent of 45 is 30? Let's identify them. Percent is what? That's the number. There's the word of. What comes after of? The base. So this is the number. That's the base. That leaves this number to be what? The amount. Plug them in. Either one. N, which is unknown, to 100 equals the amount, which is what? 30 to 45. It might be easier on us if we simplify 30 and 45, because you can divide them by 15, both, right? Mm-hmm. By 15, that's 2, and by 15, that's what? 3. It makes the number smaller. Now cross multiply. 3n equals what? Is that 200? And to solve for n, we're going to divide by 3. 200 divided by 3. There's my decimal point, lots of zeros. 20 by 3 is what? 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 20 by 3 is 6. 6 times 3, 18. There's a decimal point. 20 divided by 3 is what? 6. 6 times 3, 18. Yep, it goes on and on. 20. So we know the number is what? 66.666%. And if they said nearest tenth, then you make that what? 66.7%. Or they might write 66 and 2/3%. You leave it as a mixed number. It's possible there too.
With this method, though, if you chose to simplify it, or you can't simplify to the end, because you can't simplify because there's an equal sign, right?
Correct.
So you can't
I can
cross.
simplify each individual one,
Right,
but not cross, no.
I tried to do that.
Yep.
A little thing that I remember from when I was little, just like learning it in high school. Somebody taught me a chant on how to set it up from the sentence to the
Yep.
stuff. Is over of equals percent over 100. So
Oh.
whatever it,
Is over
I'm
of.
not going to sing a chant, but is over of equals percent over 100.
I like that. What comes after is divided by of is equal to percent over 100. And you can add yo baby, yo baby, yo. Make it a rap song. Is over of is the same as percent over 100. Yo baby, yo baby, yo. There we go. I told you I'm going to sing these songs with Beyonce one day. I'm just having a little problem getting to her. Jay-Z keeps blocking my phone calls. I don't understand it. I don't know. Let's try another one. $15 is what number or what? Wait. 15%. My mistake. Redo. 15% of what number is 21?
way are we doing this?
The proportion, the NBA. So I see the percent. That's your what? Number. There's the word of. What comes after of? That's the base, which is, we don't know. Here's is. That's the amount. Is over of, she said. Is over of. So is on the top. So the amount to the base is the number to 100. The amount is what? 21. The base is what? Unknown, B. Is the same as what? 15 to 100.
I simplified to 3 over 20.
Okay, you want to simplify the 15 over 100? Make it 3 over what? 20? That's fine. Cross multiply now. 3 times B, which is what? 3B. 21 times 20. 420. So we did 3 times B. 3B equals 21 times 20, which is the 420. Now to solve for B, we're going to divide both sides by what? By 3. That'll be 1. 12 by 3 is 4. Is 140? 15% of 140 is 21.